I'm Richard Gallen, and this short video will show you how to separate two very similar money spiders, Walckenaeria alticeps and Walckenaeria antica. These two are widely misidentified, with alticeps being the rarer of the two species, but frequently misidentified as antica, which is much more frequent. The two species visually look remarkably similar, as you can see, with the males on the left and the females on the right. Adult males are probably more straightforward to identify than the females, and what we're looking at is the profile of the carapace. Both species have this enlarged area on the front of the carapace as indicated here, but the shape is actually different. In alticeps it's less symmetrical when viewed from the side, and there isn't a notch at the back like there is in antica. So if you think of antica as having a much deeper notch at the back, and it's much more gradually inclined at the back in alticeps. This is fairly standard, and all populations of alticeps I've examined have this form of the carapace rather than this. Females, on the other hand, are more challenging. You'll need to dissect the epigynes. There are published ideas on how to separate them by size externally, but I've found this is unreliable. When you dissect the epigynes, you're viewing them from a dorsal aspect, and you're clearing them in either clove oil or lactic acid to remove the fatty tissue. Here we see alticeps on the left and antica on the right. You'll notice they're very similar and could, on first glance, appear to be the same. However, what you're looking at is the terminal part of the spermatheca, the anterior region. This is much easier to show in models showing how the form of these spermatheca twist. So in antica they twist ventrally, in alticeps they twist ventrally but then continue to twist laterally, so they're coming out towards you. This is more easy to appreciate by looking at the videos. This is the ventral aspect, lateral, and the all-important dorsal aspect. So what you're particularly interested in is the way this top area of the spermatheca in blue curls. So in antica it curls backwards and in this sort of bean-shaped format. However, in alticeps it curls backwards but then it twists out again towards the lateral area. And these clay models are only indicative. You can appreciate it in the actual dissections themselves. However, you may have to move these around to understand the three-dimensional structure. So it's critical to clear these species to identify them correctly. Two species also occupy different habitats. So alticeps in Britain is by far the rarer of the two species, and in fact many of these spots on the known distribution map are incorrect, and on re-examination many actually relate to antica. So alticeps, where does it live? Well, it is essentially a raised bog species or high quality fen. If your specimen is not from either of these habitats, be very suspicious because it's unlikely. There are specimens that have been found in salt marsh, but often these salt marshes are in close proximity to lowland raised bog. So be very careful about specimens that you see from other wetland situations, blanket bogs and the like. They're unlikely to be alticeps. Antica, on the other hand, is extremely common. It occurs in many habitats in Britain. So you'll get it in sand dunes, blanket bog, grasslands, pretty much all the habitats. So I've yet to find both species together, however you can't rule it out, so it's worth dissecting and paying particular attention to the rear of the carapace protuberance in both males. If you want further information on these species, consult the British Arachnological Society or look at standard texts like Roberts. Thank you for listening.